My wife's divorced friends convinced her to have an affair with a 23-year-old college student she met at yoga class. When I discovered the relationship, her friends said you make her feel old and undesirable. This boy makes her feel young again. I filed for divorce immediately, and now the young man has ghosted my wife completely while her friends refuse to help with her legal fees because we told her to have fun, not destroy her marriage completely. I'm James, 42 years old, and I've been teaching high school history at Lincoln High School in suburban Chicago for the past 16 years. I love my job. There's something incredibly rewarding about helping teenagers understand how the past connects to their present lives. My wife Vanessa is 39 and works as a marketing manager for a mid-sized healthcare company. We've been married for 14 years and have 2 kids, Emma, who's 12, and Connor, who's 9. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but I thought we were solid. We had the usual stresses: work, kids, finances, aging parents, but we communicated well and supported each other through challenges. We made time for date nights when possible, split household responsibilities fairly, and both of us were involved parents who prioritized our children's activities and schooling. Vanessa had always been beautiful, but like most people approaching 40, she'd started expressing some concerns about aging. She'd make comments about gray hairs, worry about wrinkles around her eyes, or ask if I thought she looked older than other women her age. I always reassured her honestly, she was still the attractive woman I'd married, and I found her more beautiful now than when we were young because of everything we'd built together. The problem started about 8 months ago when Vanessa reconnected with 2 old college friends, Monica and Diane, both of whom had recently gone through divorces. Monica, 41, had divorced her husband of 15 years after what she described as growing apart and realizing we wanted different things. Diane, 38, had ended her 12-year marriage because she felt trapped in a suburban mom life that wasn't authentic to who I really am. Both women had embraced their newly single status with enthusiasm that bordered on aggressive. They'd moved into trendy downtown apartments, started going to clubs and wine bars, and seemed determined to relive their 20s. When Vanessa started spending time with them again, I was supportive. She deserved friendships and time away from family responsibilities. Initially, their girls' nights seemed harmless. Vanessa would come home energized, talking about the fun restaurants they'd tried or the interesting people they'd met. Monica and Diane were encouraging Vanessa to try new things, different workout classes, updated hairstyles, more fashionable clothes. I thought it was healthy for her to focus on herself and explore new interests. But gradually, the tone of these friendships shifted. The conversations started including more complaints about marriage and domestic life. Vanessa began making comments about feeling stuck in a routine and wondering if she was missing out on experiences by being married with kids. When I asked her to elaborate on these feelings, she'd say that Monica and Diane had helped her realize that many married women settle for boring lives because they're afraid to want more. 3 months into this renewed friendship, Vanessa announced she wanted to start taking yoga classes. She'd never shown interest in yoga before, but Monica and Diane had convinced her it would be good for both her physical and mental health. The studio they recommended was downtown, about 30 minutes from our house, and the classes were expensive, $120 per month for unlimited sessions. It's an investment in my well-being, Vanessa explained when I questioned the cost and location. Monica says the instructors there are amazing, and Diane thinks I need to start prioritizing my own needs instead of always putting family first. I supported the yoga classes, even though the timing was inconvenient. Vanessa started attending 3 sessions per week, Tuesday and Thursday evenings, plus Saturday mornings. This meant I was handling dinner and homework duty alone those weeknights, and our family Saturday activities had to be rescheduled around her class times. The changes in Vanessa became more pronounced after she'd been doing yoga for about 6 weeks. She started paying more attention to her appearance, buying new workout clothes, getting her hair cut in a more youthful style, and experimenting with different makeup looks. She also began talking about her yoga community and how inspiring it was to be around people who were really committed to personal growth. One name started appearing frequently in these conversations: Kyle. Kyle was apparently a young instructor at the studio who was incredibly wise for his age and had such a different perspective on life. According to Vanessa, Kyle was studying philosophy at a local university while teaching yoga to support himself, and he had opened her eyes to new ways of thinking about happiness and fulfillment. Kyle says that most people live their entire lives without ever questioning whether they're actually happy or just comfortable, Vanessa told me one evening. He thinks that accepting mediocrity is the biggest tragedy of modern life. I found it odd that a yoga instructor was dispensing life philosophy to his students, but I chalked it up to the wellness culture surrounding these kinds of classes. When I mentioned that Kyle sounded young to be offering such profound insights, Vanessa became defensive. Age doesn't determine wisdom, James. Kyle has traveled, studied different philosophies, and he's not trapped by conventional thinking like most people our age. The frequency of Kyle's name in our conversations became concerning. Vanessa would quote his opinions on everything from career choices to parenting strategies. She started attending additional classes specifically because Kyle was teaching them, and she began staying after classes for what she called philosophical discussions with him and other students. Monica and Diane were enthusiastic supporters of Vanessa's new interest in yoga and her friendship with Kyle. During one dinner party at our house, I overheard Monica telling Vanessa, "It's so great that you're connecting with someone who appreciates your intellectual side. Not everyone is lucky enough to have a partner who really sees their depth." The comment felt pointed, as if Monica was suggesting that I didn't appreciate Vanessa's intelligence. When I later asked Vanessa about it, she said I was being oversensitive and that Monica was just encouraging her to pursue meaningful friendships. 2 months ago, Vanessa's behavior shifted dramatically. She started spending additional time at the yoga studio beyond her regular classes, claiming she was helping with special events and community outreach projects. She'd leave the house on weekend afternoons for these activities and wouldn't return until evening, often seeming energized and secretive about how she'd spent her time. Her phone habits changed too. Vanessa had always been casual about her phone, leaving it around the house, asking me to check messages while she was driving, never seeming concerned about privacy. Suddenly, she was keeping it with her constantly, taking it into the bathroom, and positioning it face down during conversations. The most concerning change was in our physical relationship. Vanessa became distant and uninterested in intimacy, claiming she was tired from her increased workout schedule or stressed about work projects. When I tried to plan romantic evenings or suggest weekend getaways, she'd find excuses or seem distracted and unengaged. I started feeling like I was living with a stranger. The woman who used to enjoy our quiet evenings together now seemed restless and dissatisfied with our home life. She'd make comments about other people's adventurous lifestyles and seemed increasingly critical of our suburban routine. Last month, Vanessa announced she wanted to attend a weekend yoga retreat about 2 hours away. The retreat was expensive, $500 for 2 days, and meant she'd be away from home from Friday evening through Sunday afternoon. When I asked about the details, she was vague about the location and activities, saying it was a wellness intensive focused on personal transformation. She returned from the retreat glowing and energized, but also distant. She talked about the incredible connections she'd made and how the experience had opened her mind to new possibilities for living authentically. When I asked specific questions about what she'd learned or who she'd met, her answers were vague and philosophical. Monica and Diane's influence during this period became more problematic. They started making comments about how lucky Vanessa was to have found such meaningful connections outside her marriage, and they'd joke about boring husbands who didn't understand their wives' need for growth and excitement. During one particularly uncomfortable dinner with the three of them, Diane said, "Vanessa, you're glowing lately. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Marriage doesn't have to mean giving up on passion and excitement." When I asked what she meant by that, Monica jumped in. "She just means that Vanessa seems happier and more confident lately. Some women lose themselves in marriage and motherhood, but Vanessa is finding her authentic self again." 2 weeks ago, everything came to a head. Vanessa had gone to what she said was a yoga class on Thursday evening, but she didn't come home until almost midnight. When I asked about the late night, she said they'd gone for drinks after class to continue their philosophical discussions. The next morning, while Vanessa was in the shower, her phone buzzed with a text message that I could see on the lock screen. The message was from Kyle and read, "Last night was incredible. Can't wait to see you again this weekend." My stomach dropped. I stared at that heart emoji next to Kyle's name and realized that whatever had been happening between them had progressed far beyond philosophical discussions about yoga. When Vanessa came out of the bathroom, I confronted her directly. "Vanessa, I saw a text from Kyle. What's going on between you two?" Her face went white, then red. For a moment, she looked like she might deny everything, but then her shoulders sagged. "James, I need to tell you something, and I need you to try to understand." She sat down on our bed and told me that she and Kyle had been connecting on a deeper level for the past 2 months. What started as conversations after yoga class had developed into an emotional relationship, and 3 weeks ago, it had become physical. "I never meant for this to happen," she said. "But Kyle sees me in a way that you don't. He's interested in my thoughts, my dreams, my potential. With him, I feel like I'm rediscovering who I really am." "You're having an affair with your yoga instructor," I said. "It's not just an affair, James. It's a connection that's made me realize how much I've been settling for in my life. Kyle is young, passionate, intellectually curious. He makes me feel alive in a way I haven't felt in years." "How old is Kyle, Vanessa?" She hesitated. 23. I felt like I'd been punched. My 39-year-old wife was having an affair with a college student who was 16 years younger than her. "Have you completely lost your mind?" I asked. "This is exactly the kind of reaction I expected from you," she said. "You're focused on age and social conventions instead of understanding that I've found someone who truly sees me." That evening, I called Monica, hoping she might help me understand what had happened to my wife. Monica's response was not what I expected. "James, I think you need to look at your own role in this situation," she said. "Vanessa has been feeling unappreciated and invisible in your marriage for years. She's been telling us how you make her feel old and undesirable, how you've stopped seeing her as anything beyond a mother and household manager." "That's not true," I said. "I tell Vanessa she's beautiful all the time. Telling someone they're beautiful isn't the same as making them feel desired and valued. Kyle sees Vanessa as a vibrant, intelligent, sensual woman. Can you honestly say you've been making her feel that way?" "Monica, she's having an affair with a college student. She's exploring a connection that makes her feel young and alive again. Maybe instead of judging her, you should ask yourself why she had to go outside her marriage to find that feeling." I hung up feeling even more confused and angry. Vanessa's best friend was not only defending her affair but blaming me for it. The next day, I took a personal day from school and met with a divorce attorney. The lawyer, Robert Chen, was straightforward about my options and the likely outcomes of divorce proceedings. Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, he explained, but adultery can still be relevant in custody and property division discussions. If you can document the affair, it may work in your favor, especially given the age difference and the circumstances. I also called Vanessa's parents to let them know what was happening. Her mother was devastated and angry, particularly when I mentioned Kyle's age and Monica and Diane's role in encouraging the affair. Those women have been poison in Vanessa's ear, her mother said. They're both bitter about their own divorces and they want Vanessa to be as miserable as they are. Update 1. It's been 3 weeks since I discovered Vanessa's affair, and the situation has become increasingly surreal. I filed for divorce 1 week after our confrontation. Vanessa was served with papers at her office, which apparently caused quite a scene. According to a mutual friend who works at her company, Vanessa broke down crying in the lobby.